Welcome back to the Travsessed podcast. We're your hosts, Kim and Erran. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of Travsessed. Travsessed provides on-the-clock, off-the-clock resources for healthcare travelers. On the clock, starting with our course Traveler School, which helps you learn the logistics and the lifestyle of a healthcare traveler. Once you start making the money, you have learned how to get the freedom that this life provides, then you can join us for our adventure trips. Travsessed plans, hosts, and leads adventure trips all over the world with other healthcare travelers so you can build the community and have the time of your life. And we also have this podcast that you are listening to now, which all talks about the lifestyle of a healthcare traveler. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's show. Please prepare for departure. So here we are, West Virginia.
We're sitting in our dungeon.
Yeah, pretty much our jail cell. I feel like Kim and I are institutionalized.
We're going to get into that a little bit. But yeah, it's just crazy. The last time we podcast, we were at our home in Florida and we hadn't even really started the process of packing or moving or any of that. And it's like you snap your fingers and now we're in West Virginia. And it's funny how that happens, especially like as our lifestyle of just a traveler, right? Is like we move around so much and it always kind of seems a little overwhelming, or you know, things happen so fast, right? So you're like, where am I going? What am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, oh, I'm going here. And then you're like, okay, I got to get all this stuff ready. I got to pack. I got to get all my credentialing done. And then it's like, before you know it, you're there. And you're like, how did I get here?
Well, it's crazy because we got home October 1st into Florida. And then we took a day to rest. And then I went and picked up Mimi. And then you and I were like sitting and talking. And we literally were talking about our plan for the next 3 months, and you know, things were coming up and things were more powerful, you know, within us, that we knew this was like something bigger. And so it's just crazy to think that basically on October 4th we were having a conversation and said, you know what, maybe we should take a contract and maybe we should, you know, try to cancel the lease and go out there and do it. And circa 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, we're sitting in West Virginia. We no longer have a house in Florida. All of our stuff is in storage. I start on Monday. And it's just like, the fact is that you can go from 0 to 100 as a traveler in a matter of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
It is. And I always say that too to travelers, because I think when you're looking for a contract and something, you know, you do an interview and maybe you don't get the offer, like something, it doesn't seem to be clicking, you know, nothing's coming through. And I always say things happen so fast and jobs pop up every single day. And if it's not this one, it's going to be something tomorrow. It's going to be something the next day. And again, that also depends on your flexibility, right? If you're being super specific about where you want to go or the hours you want to work, or, you know, I already said hours, I guess. Yeah. But if you're being like super specific,
how many weeks you can work?
Yeah, how many weeks you can work, which we'll get into because that's kind of become our problem in this moment. But yeah, then yes, of course it's going to take longer because you're being super specific. But if you're flexible and you're open, things are popping up all the time. And so just staying with that, like knowing that something's going to pop up, you're going to lock it in, and then it's going to be balls to the wall, and things will happen very, very quickly, which is just part of this crazy life that we live.
But also,
you know?
That's a really good point, right? If we're talking about that kind of flow. What's kind of weird is there's that gray area as a traveler, because you do have to make a decision that feels good, right? And especially when you're going off of both of us. Like, I had that interview with West Virginia, which I accidentally... Did we even talk about that?
Okay.
Yeah. That I accidentally said yes to. And then that interview felt so good. The money was amazing. And, like, this is a dream job for IR.
Yeah.
That, like, I had to take it, right? And the Emory thing didn't work out for so many reasons. And then one being, like, you didn't have a contract. And then right when I signed the Charleston contract... a job at Emory and ultrasound pops up. And it's just like kind of crazy that you can't wait around for perfect scenarios. You do got to follow your gut and understand that things pop up. Now we're noticing, contracts in West Virginia popping up.
So I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying. Like, yeah, you have to listen to your gut. We always talk about that because we were kind of like, damn, this job in Atlanta popped up. Should we have just taken that? Blah, blah, blah. You can go back and forth, especially, because things pop up all the time, that if you do commit to something and then something better pops up and you're like, damn, that one's way better. That's where I wanted to go, or the money's better. And you kind of second guess yourself, but you just have to trust that you've made the right decision. And we always go off of like our gut. Again, it was Emory. There was a lot of reasons why that just didn't feel right. And West Virginia felt 100% right. It felt like a gentle landing, a gentle kind of welcoming back into traveling again. And so we went for it. And so we just have to trust that decision, that we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And things are going to pop up or they're not, but we just have to kind of be in that and trust that, because your gut is always right. And we've learned more and more and more being travelers, always listening to that, because we are constantly having to make a lot of decisions, a lot of quick decisions, and we have a lot of options available to us. And so just flexing that muscle of just being like, how does this really feel? And is this something that I want to make a move on? And if you really do, trust yourself, make the move, don't look back, don't question it. And don't, what if, just like keep moving forward, I think is important.
I would say for people that have never traveled before, I think the grocery store would be a great place to practice the decision making, because now with our world that we live in, there's like so many different brands of the same thing. And so if you go to the store and you get paralyzed off of like staring at the different brands of figuring out which one is the right one for you, like being able to like look at all the different brands and make a decision as quick as possible, it's kind of like a good muscle to help train you if you haven't started traveling yet.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
I don't know why that just came up, but it was like, what is something in the world that like, they always say like if you have a whole bunch of clothes, it's really hard to find what to wear, versus like if you have like set outfits, like it's just easier, it's like less thinking. And so because there's like so many different options and so many different pathways and so many different like ways to go about it. I mean, I went on today and there was 283 open ultrasound jobs on Aya, right? Like that's a lot to choose from to figure out which one is the right one. On top of that, the interviews and all those kind of things and what feels right, what doesn't. And so I just feel like you got to be able to make those quick decisions. And a lot of times in the society we live in, there's so many different choices that people do get paralyzed from figuring out which one is the right one for them, even when it comes down to like outfits, food, like things like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so always try to listen to your gut and narrow down what do you really want, and what feels good. So the whole thing, and we talked about this in the last episode, is that we both really wanted to take a contract. Like that was super important to us. We wanted to both work. That's where we can make a lot of money. And so that was the goal with this. And it can be tricky sometimes, both of us landing a contract at the same place, at the same dates, all of that, right? So a lot of time, and we talk more about this in the other podcast, but typically one of us will take the lead, like Erran did in this situation, because his interview felt so good that he's like, I got to take this and something will pop up for you. And so we made that move and here we are. And what's interesting is that there have been so many opportunities for me here in West Virginia, but what we're running into is because we're leaving for Bali in January, beginning of January, it's this weird timing where now it's like I only have, say, 8 weeks.
10 weeks, but by the time you get everything done, it'd be like an 8-week contract.
8 weeks, and then leave for like a month and then come back and finish it out, which obviously isn't ideal. People, that's going to take a very specific place that's going to be like, sure, that could work, when they have other travelers that can just work the full 13. So that's kind of what we're running into, which sucks, because that's really what we wanted. And because of the Bali thing, we have this clunky time that just, or is just not working out for me.
But it goes to show you the trends in travel healthcare as well, right? Because there is not as many IR techs out there with, multi years of experience circulating in the world today as travelers versus ultrasound techs.
Yeah.
There is, I just was talking to a bunch of our recruiters, and they were all saying ultrasound is heavily flooded with, like, there's a lot of sonographers traveling. And so it's one of those things that they know that they can land a sonographer for 13 weeks straight. So with me, there's not as many to choose from. So it's like, oh, well, he's willing to work with us. We'll take him I'm going to be a 10-week contract, which is great. And then there's the possibility of coming back, which they're willing to do, but they're also not struggling. This is we need you because we need an extra body, not like we're down to like our last tech and we need somebody to fill that space. So
right.
It was the perfect scenario, which is another reason why I felt like I had to go with this contract. But it is harder for you because there are so many ultrasound sonographers.
Yeah.
I mean, ultrasound travelers, sorry.
Yeah. So, right. So I'm hoping, today 2 more jobs just popped up in West Virginia, and they're 312s, which I have found a lot of the ultrasound jobs here are 312s, which is awesome because I haven't really, that's kind of more rare with ultrasound, at least in my experience. So that's cool because most of them are over an hour away. So commuting and that would be not the best, but if it's 312s, then we can make it work basically. So what my recruiter is doing, these specific jobs are through Aya. So what she's doing is she's putting my availability on putting that forward, right? So these are direct contracts so that she has a relationship with the account manager and stuff. So basically saying from the get, she can work the 8 weeks and then she can come back in February and she can work more for you guys. She can get you through the holidays, whatever. And so putting that up front so that they know that it's not going to be a full 13 and then they can decide if they want to interview me or not.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that I get an interview. There was one that I was really excited about, but unfortunately they said we're not willing to work with her time. So I'm hoping something comes through, and if not, then it is what it is. But
yeah, I think that we're okay.
I still have a feeling.
And that's, I think we've come to the conclusion that if you don't get one, we're okay as well. So
I mean, obviously we're okay. And I mean, it works better from, with one of us working and one of us being home because of all the other stuff we have going on with Travsessed and planning our trips and our course and all of that. Having someone home working on the things is very, very important for just staying consistent with all the things Travsessed. But in this situation, we know that if we both put our heads down and work for a period of time, the amount of money that we can make is so worth it, even though we know it's going to be challenging because we're both working full time and running Travsessed, and it's just a lot, but it's worth it because of the money.
Totally.
So anyways, either way, it's going to work out. It's coming back to, just trusting where we're supposed to be. And I'm going to keep doing my part and, looking at jobs and being submitted. And if something works out, great. Ideally, it'd be awesome if somebody was willing to work with my time and then I could come back and then you came back and we could just keep this thing going for a little bit. That would be great.
Yeah, because we have 7 weeks between Bali. From the time that we can legitimately come home, drive, and get to work again, we have 7 weeks until Patagonia.
Yeah.
So not even another 13 in between that.
I know. And that's something we're trying to navigate too, is wanting to run all of our trips next year because that's the thing we love the most and it's fun and it's exciting and we're building Travsessed Adventures and it keeps growing every day and it's what we love to do, but also wanting to be able to fit in 2 spots next year where we have the 3 months that we could take a full contract. So we're trying to figure out the calendar and the schedule, and there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of what ifs, not even what scenarios to play out, because with this lifestyle, you just never know.
No, you never know with travel, and then you also, when you're planning big trips, you want to give people enough time to to pay for them and get the payments going. And so you got to launch them 6-7 months in advance. But then like, it's just kind of one of those weird things that it's hard to plan because those dates are all over the place as well. Yeah. So, you know, we're figuring it out. It's you know, relatively new to try to fit in 2 contracts in a year. And so it's a new muscle that we're having to flex, and it's kind of been a fun challenge.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a fun challenge, but it's definitely something that we have to figure out. Yeah. And that's what we're working on now, is like really trying to hammer out dates and get like a really clear plan for next year so that we feel confident going in of like how we can manage it all. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else about that?
No.
No?
No.
So we'll see if I get a contract. There's the Oregon strike again. And so I don't have an Oregon license for ultrasound. That's one of the states you have to have a license. So it doesn't seem like I'll have my license in time, but I'm going to go ahead and get it. It can take 2 to 3 weeks, but at least I have it. Mm-hmm. And then in the future, because Oregon's always a place I've wanted to go anyway, so it's like I just have it, and it seems like these strikes keep coming up. So at least I'd be ready to go if that could be an option too.
Totally. We'll see, buddy.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Do you want to talk about our lovely apartment?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's funny because, you know, we came from our beautiful home in Florida. Ugh. And it was just light-filled and spacious. It just felt good. It felt cozy. And we had all of our stuff like out of storage. And so it felt homey.
Well, and we each had a place. I had my swing outside. I don't know. The way the home felt, it just felt like a hug every time you walked in. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just comfortable and nice, and I don't know, it was just a good location and everything like that. And we always said if we could literally lift that house and put it in Colorado, it would have been like the perfect place. Yeah. But, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, it's an adjustment, and go ahead.
It's coming back into an apartment is an adjustment, right? Obviously. And for coming from a house. And the place that we have here is really great because it's across the street from the hospital, and it was cheap, which is what we want, because, you know, we're here to make money, right? Mm-hmm. Essentially, like, we're here to make money. That is our purpose. That is our point. And so coming in here, it's just very, it gives me old haunted hospital vibes / penitentiary.
Yeah.
And it's just very, very dark and not warm, not inviting. And taking Mimi out is a pain in the ass because we're in the middle of the building. We have to walk down, you know.
The elevators don't work.
Yeah. Like a bunch of stairs, and then there's no grass for her. So we have to walk her across. Like, it's just a whole thing.
On top of that, Mimi doesn't walk anymore. So it's not like
we have to carry her up and down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So at first we kind of were like, oh God. Like, it's just, again, we've lived in some janky places as travelers because we wanted to save money, and we're very used to that. We've been traveling for 11 years, living in apartments, living wherever we could get in. And like, we have a pretty good attitude about things. We're flexible, you adapt, you get in there, you know, it's not like your forever home. You're just there and it's serving a purpose. And so at first when we got here though, we were like, oh God, like, this doesn't feel great. And also it's like a tiny little kitchen, which is fine, but we cook a lot. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of another thing, but we were just like, listen, because we were like, should we move out? Or should
we literally, Kim said, should we have to give a 30-day notice. Should we just put it in now? And I was like, yeah, but where are we going to go?
I know.
And again, like, we just got settled in. And by that time, all of our stuff was still in the bins, and it was scattered around, and it was cluttered because it's small. And so it just looked like we were like getting caved in. And then we just took a day and we like moved some of the stuff that was already here out, and we put it in closets and then put our stuff out, and it started to come together, and it does feel a lot more comfortable. It's not a place that like I look forward to, coming back to and just sitting and hanging out. It's not very relaxing, but it serves a purpose. And the fact is our front yard is the river, and we went for a walk yesterday at, around, sunset time, and just kind of walked around that area and sat on a bench and watched the boats go by. And it was really pleasurable. And I could actually see the hospital, and just being able to walk every morning to the hospital is a huge thing, because I don't take call and I don't work weekends. And so it's going to be a night, and I work 4/10. So it's like super nice to be able to just walk to work those days. And then if you do get something, you have the car. So it really does work out in the long run. I just think, like, we were talking about it yesterday in the car, and we were just talking about how throughout the 11 years, all the adaptability, and like you said, knowing that these aren't our forever homes, but just making it as comfortable as possible for the short term. But I think we're getting to the point now where it's making us work even harder to have that place of our own that we cherish, that we love, that we go back to, that is meaningful, that has everything that we want. And that was never on the radar for so many years.
Yeah, we didn't even, like, especially me. I was like anti-house, anti-settling. Erran would like send me Zillow things, and I'm like, don't send this shit to me. Like, I have no interest in buying a house. I have no interest in settling down. I don't give a flying fuck about decor or couches or this or that.
I had like our basement planned, and like, this is what we can do with this, and like, look at this house and look at this house, and she would every time just stop sending me houses.
Yeah, like, absolutely not. And then it just, because I had other things in mind, like I wanted to travel, and I wanted to like just enjoy this nomadic life and build Travsessed, and I just wasn't interested in putting any time or resources into like settling down and getting a home. And then that switched, right? And so like 2 years ago, I guess. So, and then more seriously this past year. And so, yeah, I think now we have our goal. We know what we're here for. We know what we're working towards this year. We know the chapter we're in and what we truly want. And coming back to just focusing on the good, like we kind of complained and got it all out, and we're like, this and this and this, blah, 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 blah. And then we're like, okay, we got it all out. Now let's turn this around, because we're not leaving, right? So we're here. So how can we turn this around and focus on, again, just what we're grateful for with this place and why we're here, and just kind of change our minds a little bit. And we did. And so I feel a lot more settled in here. And I think, again, it's serving a purpose. We're literally here for 10 weeks and then we're out. So it's not, we can make it work.
Well, right. And we did come to the conclusion that if we do come back, we sure as fuck aren't living here.
Oh, 100%.
So, and plus, I mean, again, what another grateful thing is, we still had to pay for our lease. So that was another thing. Like, it wasn't just like we had run of the mill of like where we wanted to live. We wanted to make money, but we also still had to pay to break our lease. And so we needed to factor that in. And so we took this place because it was cheap and it was close. And if Kim did get a contract, we wouldn't have to rent a car. And like, there's so many things that we weighed out very quickly, which I'm always proud of us that we do. We're able to lay that out and be like, let's just do this because this feels right. And let's go with it. And like you said, we did have all right, let's go 10 minutes of just like bashing this place and get it all out. And then let's move on. Like, let's move on and find the joy in it. And, we bought ourselves an indoor grill, and like we kind of started making things work for how our life is. And so Kim found a couple cafes that we can go and work in. And so that's just what we're focusing on, and here we go. It's like it starts Monday.
Yep. New adventure, new contract. Like, I'm excited, and also just being in West Virginia. I mean, that's the thing about traveling. It brings you places that you would never go to. I'd never be like, babe, let's pack up the Jeep and like go to West Virginia for the weekend. And it's like, now we're here. We went hiking yesterday and that was beautiful. We're going whitewater rafting tomorrow. The leaves are beautiful. The fall, the cool air, the mountains, like, it's really beautiful here. And so just to come to this state and like explore a new area is like, wow, okay, cool. Like, this is this is cool.
It was funny yesterday. We were on the hike and I kept noticing Kim kept saying things and she would say, God, I wish we had the Googles because we would look this up. And after the hike, I asked her, why do you keep saying that? Like, we do have Google. I have service. Like, just because we're in West Virginia doesn't mean we don't have phone service.
I know. We were hiking. And so I was like, no, we're like in the middle of the wilderness. Like, we don't have any cell service out here. It's like, actually, we weren't even that far from the road. No. We had like full bars. Yeah. Like, I'm like in survival mode, like breaking out like my compass and my map. And you're like, I can see the road.
Oh, yeah. Already picking guys that you would cling on to in case of survival.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was definitely an interesting hike, but it was beautiful. And again, like the mountains here, like it's coming from Florida too, is just to be surrounded by hills, mountains, nature, getting out of the house and be like, okay, cool. Today, the activity is we're going on this beautiful drive and then we're going to do this hike and spend hours outside. It was such a beautiful day, and like then come home, and that is my favorite way to spend a day.
Well, yeah, and we're going to drive an hour and a half tomorrow and go whitewater rafting at some of the best whitewater rafting areas, in the nation?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like one of the best rivers in the U.S.
Yeah, and so it's just like, we did say that yesterday too, like it's no offense to West Virginia, it's just not my cup of tea, like it's not anywhere that I would settle down, right? But it brought us closer to like the Colorado vibe of like, this is exactly what we're talking about. We want to be able to get in our car and go for a beautiful hike, challenge ourselves, and then come back for the day. Like that's our day activity. Mm-hmm. And like, it just feels refreshing to be able to do that on a beautiful day. The weather is cool and crisp. And yeah, we're getting into winter, but the leaves are changing and we love that. And like the drive was beautiful with the water, and it was just everything. It's getting closer and closer, and it's just reaffirming that desire that we have to live in that area. And it's crazy because we've always talked about that, and people always ask us, like, you've been all over this country, where's the one place that you would settle down? And we never knew that. And it's just funny that, Colorado just fits, and we want to give that a try. And we've never lived there, but, out of all the places that we have been, we've checked the boxes of like, no, like wouldn't live in this area, and we have multiple reasons why. And it just all comes back to Colorado of just like what it's all about, and we keep talking about that. But I think that's the beauty of healthcare traveling, is we've been able to go and live all over the country and get little tidbits of like what we would want and why we wouldn't want to live in this type of area, and what is the difference that we would have wanted to live here. And so we've gotten that so fine-tuned that, now it was just like, again, the refreshingness of just being able to get in the car and drive and go for a beautiful hike in the mountains.
100%. Yeah. I'm here for it, man.
Yeah.
Here for West Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's kind of where we're at. Catch up.
Okay.
And then, did you have something to say?
I guess not.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
We just wanted to catch you guys up because last week we kind of just left it as like this whirlwind of like leaving Florida, blah, 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 and like all this stuff. So kind of now it's just like we're settled in. I'm still looking for a job. Erran starts Monday, and we're kind of starting this whole new shebang. So,
yeah.
But other than that, I just don't have many words.
No, I will say that, after we record this and kind of go out for some physical activity, we are going to be getting Patagonia ready to go and get that ready to launch. So if you're interested in joining us in Patagonia in late March, early April, then be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're on the adventure wait list on our website, Travsessed.com. And that's where we'll be sending out all the emails for, launch dates, launch party, and all that kind of stuff. And we'll be doing our launch party from our amazing dungeon here in West Virginia.
I love it. All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we will definitely see you guys next week. Are we going to put that out there?
Yes.
Yes, we will definitely see you guys next week. And bye.